Definitely accelerate more quickly than you want to corner. What a fantastic machine though. I'm loving this. Oh, have we got a good one for you today. It's a standard Atlas pickup. This is incredibly rare, incredibly unusual, subtly modified, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Before we get started though, zip up hoodies now available at the Hubnut store. Got the old Tools logo on the back and the standard Hubnut on the front. If you want one, check the description below and it'll support what we do. Thank you very much. This turned up at our local cars and coffee meet at Poppet Sands near Cardigan, and it just blew me away. It was instantly my vehicle of the show. It is liveried up. None of this is fake. This is absolute patina. It was used by Smith Brothers, the monumental masons, so you're doing gravestones, that sort of thing, engraving, in Saxmundham over in Suffolk, right on the other side of the country. And it was parked up in 1980, having barely covered any miles. Back on the road this year, has had quite some adventures already, as we'll discover. But it just remains an incredible survivor. The standard Atlas just did not survive in any numbers whatsoever. So this is just joyous to see. Standard Atlas was conceived when Standard Triumph was still a standalone company. It was launched in 1958. This is a 1958 example. And the parts bin was raided, sure, but also some bits unique to these vehicles as well. And it joined other weirdly narrow track rivals. I mean, from this angle it almost looks like it's hovering. Things like the Morris J2 vans and the later J4 was still quite inboard. The Commerce Space van. These fleet of vehicles that all had really small tracks. In this example, it exists for a very good reason. Turning circle. We will do a demonstration of that in a bit, but it doesn't necessarily help the handling, and that was true of a lot of its rivals. When the Ford Transit came out in 1965, it was the first van that really car people had a strong input on to make sure it drove like a car and felt like one to drive. This is somewhere between a light truck and absolute blind chaos, so it's an intriguing mix. When they were first launched, they had a tiny 948cc engine producing 35 brake horsepower. That's what this had. But having been off the road since 1980, now has something a bit different. The current owner rescued it, has kept it looking absolutely pretty much as it was, but has re-engined it, as we'll see. It's going to be a bit of a surprise, but let's have a closer look at the bodywork. So the overall shape of the Standard Atlas didn't change at all, but Standard Triumph found itself part of Leyland Motors from 1962, and the Atlas did become Leyland badged for a time. Here are the front wheels, tucked in all the way down here, so we only have to go to there and we can't see them. They're tucked right under there, so you literally are sitting right on top of the front wheels. It's had some bodywork here. The owner daren't try and match the paint. How do you? This is all original paint. We've got sliding windows with opening quarter lights at the front, bit of surface rust on the cab roof. The pickup had these extra wings. I'm not sure why. Fuel filler here, and coming back down to the rear axle, and you can see we've got good old leaf springs at the back. We're actually on a transverse leaf spring at the front, so independent front suspension, drum brakes all round, and some fairly standard Lucas rear lights straight off the parts shelf. And we've got this opening tailgate. If I just lean on it a little, pull that one out, and then pull that one out, and the tailgate, which has got a little bit of rust damage, drops down. I don't know if these are crates that came with it. Sheet metal technology, maybe not, but a useful vehicle. Small cab window on the back there, so we'll leave that down for now. And we've got the exhaust poking out here. For the engine is right in the middle. You open the door by pulling the handle down. It's all very tinny, no door cards at all. The only handle is this one which pulls up to lock, goes down to lock and then up to operate the lock mechanism and let you out. Little quarter light window, I may not touch that. They don't always like to be moved. Little sliding window. And yeah, here is the interior. So steering wheel, but note they've only got two pedals down here. That will hint that something is a bit unusual here. So indicator control here. If I jump in onto these tiny little seats, but offer very little in the way of back support, this hot box down here is where we find the engine. So I'm going to open that one, and then I think it just lifts up and pivots, and there we go. What should be a Triumph 948cc engine on this one is actually a 1500 from a Dolomite, and it's got a single carburettor down here, radiator right there. It's lovely and toasty in here, but yeah, that probably tells you a hint that all is not as it should be for this Triumph 1500 engine, itself an extension of the 948 original. It was originally 803cc. It's driving an automatic gearbox. It's actually got a ZF HB22 from the 1980s, fitted to cars like the Jaguar XJS, 4-speed with a torque converter lockup, but everything just about fits. Look how the alternator is snug under the passenger seat along with the HT leads, so they're not leaking electricity. Could get quite exciting, but yeah, completely different way of driving. So we'll lower that back down and secure it, and you can find out how loud it is as we start going down the road. This has had a heater retrofitted. They just didn't have them originally. So if I pop the ignition on, and you can tell when the heater's running. Not especially subtle. We'll save the wiper test until we've got the engine running. Unfortunately, it looks like it's starting to rain. The battery lives back here, and the owner has fitted these head restraints, and with very good reason, because he has just done the Round Britain reliability run, which is something organised by the Triumph owners. I forget which club it is, I really should know, but there's a sticker to tell you here. Club Triumph, that'll be the one. So Club Triumph for many years has organised this run, and you basically do Land's End, John O'Groats, and I think back to a central start point in a weekend. And the owner Roger did it in this, having only put a few hundred miles on it in testing after it had been off the road since 1980. When we saw him at Poppet Sands, that was one of his trial runs to make sure it actually works. Just extraordinary. And it did that with, I'm not going to say no problem, but no major problems. So a brilliant shakedown run of about 2,500 miles. Extraordinary. And as we drive, I think we'll see that was even more extraordinary. But it's a fascinating thing. When I was in New Zealand, I once found a field, and there were about 4 or 5 of these in van form. And an incredible find. But they were exported all over the world, even the US and Canada. Often Triumph badged. Later they realised the 948cc engine just was not enough. It gave a claimed top speed of only 52 miles an hour. So they upgunned it, first with a standard Vanguard 1670cc petrol engine, but eventually the 2138cc engine that was also used in the Triumph TR4. So a lot more oomph, perhaps too much, but what say you we go for a drive and see what this thing's actually like? First of all, I'll just give you the turning circle demo. I did remember the tailgate before we actually go out on the road. Right, before we get underway, screen wash. Oh yeah, there's some screen wash. And put the wipers on. Oh, they're terrible, really. Did they just find these off the shelf? But good overlap, no triangle of doom, but a complete chasm of ignorance over on the passenger side, and they don't park, so you have to park them yourself. But and it's a bit echoey in here. I don't know if you can tell, but the sound really does just reverberate around because there is nothing to absorb it. It's all hard surfaces everywhere, but the noise, I mean, it's not quiet in here, but I don't think it's actually too bad. There are no seat belts, they just weren't a requirement on commercial vehicles at this time. Drivers were hopping in and out, so they just didn't bother. So the gear selector is tucked down the back here. In fact, I don't think I've shown you that, so let's have a peek. Yes, we've got the choke, pull starter, and that's our ignition switch. There's a hidden cut-off as well. And there's the gear lever controller. That's actually out of a Triumph Stag. So you have to reach back here and go into drive like so, or back into park. And if you're thinking, well, that seems rather inconvenient being tucked away down there, the manual had a sort of lever that just came up from that sort of position, and you kind of went up and down more than back and forth. Apparently it was absolutely terrible to use, so this makes it a lot more user-friendly. Because it's an automatic, we're making use of the parking pole and aren't using the handbrake. It's not the most convenient because it's all the way down here. It's almost by my right foot. But back we go into drive. Pop the wipers on for a wipe. All the way over on the passenger side, and actually someone paid extra because the passenger wiper was an optional extra along with a heater and a passenger seat. It was stingy in the extreme. You do feel quite vulnerable. There is nothing in front of you really apart from the windscreen and no seat belts. So I don't think we're going to be thrashing down the road today. It's already feeling quite warm in here with the engine right next to us. The owner has fitted this temperature gauge quite sensibly. And there we go. Already into second. Into third. Oh, kick down, so I put my foot down more. So the gearbox has no automatic electronic control. It's all done by the kickdown cable, really. That's what controls how the gearbox should respond. So everything's had to be carefully set up and tweaked, adjusted by the owner, Roger. But he's a big fan of these automatic gearboxes, as are many in the classic car world, because the old 3-speed units were just a bit too underwhelming. They were always under-geared. They just really wanted to be in top gear and nothing else. So these later transmissions upgrade things a lot. He has a Stag with an HB22, and it's a very sensible upgrade. Brakes seem quite good. I believe it is still on stock drums, so let's not get too carried away with our speed. The speedometer unfortunately is not working, but I think I can be reasonably sure we're not going to be worrying the 60-mile-an-hour speed limit along this section of road. I'm going to have to open the window just because I'm starting to cook in here. Let's get a bit of it. Oh, there we go. Bit of ventilation on the go. The ride is a little bouncy, especially unladen. Don't forget we're leaf springs all the way around. But the transverse leaf was quite popular on a lot of cars for a form of independent front suspension. Even though you got one spring, each end is operating on its own. But we've got a Berman recirculating ball steering box, so steering control is not the best. We got shakes and rattles. Now imagine doing 2,500 miles in this in a weekend. Crazy. The engine is still kept at fairly low revs by this transmission, which is quite relaxing, I guess. Wipers don't work too badly on the driver's side. The poor passenger gets a terrible view. Now, this is one of the more entertaining test drives I've been on, I must admit. What this would have been like with the original engine and gearbox. God, hard work, I think. Transit really was the first van designed with motorways in mind. The idea of driving this at 50 mile an hour flat out down a motorway doesn't bear thinking of. But what an incredible survivor. Like I say, so few of these made it into preservation. They just rusted away, were driven into the ground, and that was the end of that. Now I'm going to get some braking in because we're coming down to a give way, or stop even. Knock those off for a bit. Indicator here. And we can unleash some fearsome acceleration. It's quite loud, that exhaust. Yeah, I don't think I want to go any faster than that, in all honesty. That feels quite fast enough. Because the steering is not exactly confidence inspiring. You got this ridiculously narrow track as well. Like I say, I think they did it for the turning circle, but it doesn't help the handling at all. Imagine what this would feel like with a load of stone in the back of it. But I think this is a very clever idea, going to the automatic gearbox. It means you can just focus on the steering, basically. You haven't got to worry about anything else. Oh, fascinating survivor. Standard Atlas was in production till around 1970, I think, but then all the tooling was shipped off to India, and they were made there up until 1980. That's the year this one came off the road. Cannot remember the last time I saw one of these on the road. I'm not sure I ever have. I know I've seen them at the NEC Classic Motor Show, which we will not be at this year, unfortunately, but yeah, I don't remember seeing them anywhere else. Exhaust, just madness. As we come past the wall. Oh, that's very funny. The seat is not the most comfortable because the seat back comes about halfway up my back. It reminds me of the Viva HA van I drove, and yeah, we used to be so hard on our van drivers. Just have a bit of that, a bit of that, and here we go as we drive around beautiful Llandovery today, where I almost got arrested by Special Branch when Prince Charles was here once. He's now our king. But yeah, just kind of designed for this, pottering around town. That would have been very much the thing back in the day. And it's hilarious, no one knows what it is. I've had someone go, oh, is that a Bedford? No, it's not a Bedford. Is that a comma? No, it's not a comma. Yeah, let me go around this loop again because it just demonstrates perfectly how good the turning circle is, because we've got to go right back on ourselves, and it's just not even a problem. I'm not even on full lock. It's quite remarkable. Oh, look at that, learning to drive in a Peugeot 106. Oh, maybe they're very, very early on. But yeah, a lot of these vans of this era were just not really very pleasant to drive. I used to have a Citroen H van, which they came out in 1947, and yeah, they were not joyous at all to drive. And again, 50 mile an hour was absolutely screaming. It's just not something you wanted to do. So yeah, drivers are absolutely spoiled these days. We had a lovely Volkswagen Crafters and the modern Transits when they work. Yeah, this, I tell you what, I want to drive more classic cars with this gearbox. There's a lot of people doing them as conversions just because it makes long distance driving so much better, makes acceleration so much better because you've got that extra ratio, so first can be a little bit lower. It utterly transforms the driving experience. It works really well here. I've never thought of this as a creamy engine before, but it does sound good. So that these Triumph 1500s, which were later fitted to the rubber bumper MG midgets, as well as Spitfires and the like, had a horrible habit of knocking the cranks out. It was maybe a bit of a stretch too far, but I think it's pretty lightly stressed here. Oh, you know when she's accelerating? Yeah, you can definitely accelerate more quickly than you want to corner. What a fantastic machine though. I'm loving this. I have to ask myself, is it going to stop long enough for me to film an outro? It's definitely Wales. Oh, while I wait for the rain to stop, horn. Ah! It sounds like it's in here with me. So it's rather like the Invacar in that regard. But yeah, there we go. Indicators. Lovely. They don't self-cancel. Some of these spoke ones or centre hub ones do actually self-cancel. Does the interior light actually work? Ooh, yes. Interesting how it's got a little clear bit in the middle there. Is that for a more focused beam of light? I guess that means you can illuminate the engine while you're working on it in the dark. Seeing as I'm still being reined into the vehicle at the moment, should we try the engine? Because here's the throttle cable. So as I put the throttle down, it operates the throttle like so. Your choke cable, very, very short because it's only going to there. So we'll pop the ignition on, start the engine. Listen to that. Isn't that sweet? Of course, you rev the engine, it starts blasting warm air at you with a cooling fan. So that's what it sounds like with the engine cover off. Well, unfortunately the rain is not stopping, but that's been a crazy day. I've loved that. Would I want to drive it 2,500 miles around the UK? I think actually no. The seating position is not ever so ideal, and those tiny little seats not the most comfortable, but as a historic survivor, this thing absolutely fascinates me. Absolutely intriguing. So huge thanks to Roger for letting me drive this absolute beauty, and I hope you've enjoyed that. Don't forget, you can head to the Hubnut store and buy lovely merchandise should you wish, and support us doing road tests in the rain, and we'll see you in a future video. Farewell. Atlas.